This video is sponsored by Rijksmuseum. Stick around after the episode to hear about their YouTube show, Is This Art?
Greetings and welcome to Earthling Television. I am your host, Garyx Wormuloid. This week's artifact is Cowboy Bebop, the critically acclaimed series directed by Shinichirō Watanabe. The series takes place in an alternate reality where humans destroyed the Earth and decided to get started on the rest of the galaxy. Our protagonist is a bounty hunter named Spike, a former hitman and future lung cancer patient. Butthurt that his colleague Sid Vicious screwed his girlfriend Julia, forcing her into witness protection.
Are you seeing Julia behind my back?
He flies around the galaxy with the Winter Soldier in Bebop, not to be confused with a Bop-It, humanity's signature torture device. They start collecting some heads, hunting down Bonnie and Clyde, arresting Prince, and taking in an adorable horse just because. All for the hefty fee of basically no money.
This whole thing gives me a headache, and all because of this worthless mutt.
On Canto Bight, they increase their crew with your typical gambling addict amnesiac named Faye, and later acquire a hacker girl named Edward to veg that sausage party up a little. They land on Earth to go to Ed's orphanage reunion for some much-needed daddy daycare. In a shocking Pepsi twist, Faye learns Julia's alive.
And how about you? Julia. Julia?
And before you know it, she's dead. Finally, Spike lives out my personal fantasy by killing his former boss, leaving just enough time to die on a stairwell.
Bang.
Cowboy Bebop concocts its unique vision of the future by free sampling a bunch of genres like it's in Costco on a Glorps day. The smart and sexy Faye Valentine is a classic femme fatale from noir films and my recurring daydream. Spike's space cowboy vibe and many of the show's settings are drawn from westerns, and of course all the space portals, ships, and superpowered computers are ripped off from Rick and Morty. But some of Bebop's most philosophical explorations are framed by references to literature, folklore, and probably copy pasta. One such work discussed in the show is Urashima Taro, a Japanese folktale about the implications of finding one's purpose through the past. Most of the characters in the show are driven by traumatic events from the bad old days, such as lost torso legs.
You wanted to know what happened to my arm. This is what I paid. Yeah, for being too gung-ho and running ahead of the game.
Sucky bosses, parental abandonment, and scientific experimentation. But perhaps the worst hand in life is dealt to Faye Valentine, who spends decades in cryogenic sleep following a spaceship accident, only to wake up with enormous debts and no memory.
I can't pay $300 million. It's not fair to revive me and then expect me to pay all that money. I don't even know anything about myself.
Which is why, if you're watching this, kids, do not resuscitate me. In the folktale, a young man saves a turtleneck who transforms into a beautiful princess and transports him to the underwater castle of the Dragon King, a real party zone.
It was like a palace, and they gave him a big welcoming party. Beautiful women, scrumptious feasts, breams and halibut swimming around. He spent his time there as if in a dream.
In lieu of a goodbye smooch, the princess gives him the Tamatabako, a beautiful box that she warns him to never open.
Tamatabako, is that scrumptious too?
No, it's not food. It's a big chest with a treasure inside.
Upon returning home, Urashima discovers that he's been gone a gazillion years. Distraught, he opens the box, which turns out to contain all his lost time. As it wafts away, he becomes a silver fox.
When he opens the Tamatabako, he turns into an old man. Now I know why.
Like Urashima, Faye's years of stasis at the Walt Disney Spa displaced her from everything she knew and loved. Her past arrives in the form of a weird DVD, delivered in a subtle nod to the story by a turtle Amazon delivery drone. By watching the disc and filling in the gaps in her life, Faye at once regains her past and loses it all over again. That goof.
I finally remember where it is that I belong.
Her lesson and Urashima's are one and the same. Your past is part of who you are, but you can never return to it.
My memory finally came back, but nothing good came of it. There was no place for me to return to. This was the only place I could go.
Unless you rent a time machine. While Faye's revelation is sad, the silver lining is that it allows her to focus on what does matter, a present and a future, and hopefully a warm pair of pants. Space is cold. It's a lesson that Spike in particular could stand to learn, as he's a man with an eye constantly on the past.
Look at my eyes, Faye. One of them is a fake because I lost it in an accident. Since then, I've been seeing the past in one eye and the present in the other.
In the series finale, he mentions The Cat That Lived a Million Times, a short story by John Lennon's girlfriend, Yoko Sano.
There once was a tiger-striped cat. This cat died a million deaths, revived and lived a million lives.
In the story, a tiger-striped cat moves from household to household, not giving a shit, until one day he meets a beautiful white cat who isn't impressed with his whole Wolverine vibe. Won over by her negging, he asks the white cat to stay and get matching wrinkles with him. But when the white cat dies, the tiger-striped cat is distraught and dies once more, never to be born again, since that's how cats work. The tiger-striped cat is basically Spike's spirit animal, unlike mine, which is a Chamanzavorp. He shares not only the cat's disinterest in personal attachments, but also its survival chops and luscious locks. Over and over, Spike appears to suffer catastrophic injury, only to bounce back.
When you and I first met, you told me something. You said that you had died once, that you had seen death.
This phenomenon points us to the concept of samsara.
What lies beyond? Heaven? Hell? Reincarnation?
Which refers to the belief in some Eastern religions that existence is a cyclical process of life, death, and rebirth, with some suffering thrown in just for fun. The mundanity of Bebop life, coupled with Spike's inability to escape from it through death, indicates that he must attain a new state of being before he can escape the cycle.
This here is the stairway to heaven. You know that, don't you?
Obnoxious little frog.
Which is why I do not want to be resuscitated. Do you understand that, Brandon? For Earthling Television, I'm Garyx Wormuloid. See you later, Space Cowboy.
Hey guys, Garyx's intern Emily here. We're big fans of the Rijksmuseum and their YouTube channel Rijkstube, in particular their series Is This Art? The show uses pop culture as a way to take a fresh look at art and art history. Their video about toys had some really interesting insights about toy collector culture and the blurring of the line between art and consumer products. Garyx is a bit of a collector himself, so that episode was near and dear to whatever he has in place of a heart. Like Garyx, they want you to find the deeper meaning in all the cool stuff around you. They're releasing an episode that looks at the social and cultural history of tattoo art later today, so don't miss it. I'm watching it right after I finish detailing Garyx's Victorian bicycle collection. Click here or the link in the description below to check them out and tell them Wormuloid sent ya.